CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
The Victoria SPCA is calling for your help this holiday season to try to find a forever home for a badly abused puppy. 6-month-old Holly was found in a remote North Island community by an RCMP officer and taken to the Port Alberni SPCA to be treated for several horrible wounds. Holly suffered rope burns around her legs, and it's believed she was dragged behind a truck. She was also treated for a broken femur and even multiple bullet wounds. But despite the abuse she suffered, Holly is a happy, playful pup that desperately needs a loving home.
You know, she's like any puppy. She just wants to have a good time, and she doesn't care about her past. Animals, they're so resilient. They just bounce back and they forget about the bad things that happen, and they only live in the moment. She's the epitome of the spirit of Christmas. Like, she's forgiving and she just wants to move on. So hopefully we can find her a really nice home for the holidays.
There's an ongoing investigation into the abuse that Holly suffered. If you know anything about it or who owned her, you're asked to contact your local RCMP. As for Holly, if you know anyone who could provide her a good home, contact the Victoria branch of the SPCA. There's more tonight on that video that CTV News first brought you on Wednesday. It sparked debate between parents in the Saanich School District, and it got a grade 4 teacher suspended. Now the society that represents the lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgendered community is speaking out. The video includes suggestive scenes, sexually suggestive scenes, with drag queens and a man in a Speedo frolicking on a beach. Brentwood Elementary School teacher Joe Winkler was suspended after showing it to his class. Parents of the grade 4s issued a complaint that it was inappropriate for their children. The teacher says he was simply trying to educate his students about diversity, but he apologized yesterday when he spoke to us. He says he didn't mean to offend anyone. Today, the Pride Society came out in support of Winkler.
I think that it's difficult for teachers. I don't necessarily feel that they're equipped with the tools that they need to be able to approach topics like gender identity and sort of to really review that scope with their students. So I applaud that he's able to take that initiative on his own.
The LGBT Society says the school board has policies in place to teach children about inclusiveness, but needs to create more tools for teachers to educate students about gender identity and sexual orientation. As for Winkler, he won't be in the class for at least 3 weeks as the district continues and completes its investigation. Well, despite the ongoing job action, BC Transit and its employees and the Victoria Regional Transit Commission are getting into the holiday spirit. There will be free rides on the buses after 6 o'clock on New Year's Eve. Special holiday service begins Monday, Christmas Eve, and continues right through New Year's Eve a week later. The rides December 31st after 6 p.m. are free, encouraging you to leave your car at home and to make a smart, safe choice. But as of 2013, BC Transit says it's not sure what kind of service it can offer riders. The union says it's ready and prepared to serve 24-hour strike notice as early as January 2nd.
We don't know what's going to happen in January 2nd. We know that there's going to be 24 hours notice. That was the last we heard from the CAW Local 333. And we're only going to have to prepare for it as it comes. We hope it doesn't come to that. There's still almost 2 weeks between then and now to get a deal, to get something fair, reasonable. BC Transit's offering the maximum allowable under the Cooperative Gains mandate. This certainly can be done with a spirit of cooperation.
If you're planning to ride a BC Transit bus over the holidays, keep this in mind. Here's your schedule. December 24th, buses will run on a Saturday schedule. That's on Monday. Then Christmas Day, Tuesday, buses will run on the Sunday schedule. The Saturday schedule will be used again on Boxing Day and on New Year's Eve, along with those free rides after 6 p.m. And on New Year's Day, it is the Sunday schedule once again for transit buses. The BC Criminal Justice Branch will appeal the case of a woman who was sentenced to 1 day in jail after killing a motorcyclist on the Trans-Canada Highway. Tracy Dawn Smith was convicted in the death after colliding head-on with a motorcyclist on the Trans-Canada Day 2011. Smith was sentenced to 1 day in jail and given a 10-year driving prohibition as well as 3 years probation. The Criminal Justice Branch says it's going to ask the BC Court of Appeal to have Smith's prison sentence increased substantially. A court hearing for that is set for next February to determine if the court will hear the appeal. Well, despite today's date and some dire predictions, the world did not come to an end today, despite the Mayan calendar. But many people did gather at Mayan holy sites in Mexico and in Guatemala today to celebrate a new beginning. Many spiritualists and indigenous people believe that the Chichen Itza site in Mexico is sacred, and they flocked there today to be part of special ceremonies. Similar events took place in Guatemala as well at the Tikal Temple, which is at the center of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Around 40,000 people were expected to visit the sacred Mayan sites and will continue to do so over the next several days. In Toronto, the owner of the so-called IKEA monkey has been told that he will not be home for Christmas. She will not be able to take her pet home. Yasmin Nakuda argued that the Toronto Animal Services Group did not have the right to take her primate away. A 7-month-old Japanese macaque known as Darwin made headlines around the world after he ran loose in his coat in the IKEA store in Toronto earlier this month. The judge ruled, however, that Darwin will remain in an animal sanctuary northeast of Toronto through the holidays. Well, 'tis the season for music and lights and award-winning Christmas decorations. And one display that's getting a lot of attention and accolades around the capital region is this house on Grosvenor Road in Victoria. It took first prize for decorated homes in the region this year. The homeowner says the biggest job isn't putting things up, but taking the display down once the holidays are over and categorizing everything and packing it away for next year. And with Christmas just days away now, it's crunch time for the groups that are trying to help others, including the Mustard Seed. It's getting ready to hand out its hampers, its donated gifts and turkeys, but had to take time out today to accept a check from one of its community partners. And it was a big check. The Bay Centre has partnered with the Mustard Seed for 14 years now, and each year tries a new campaign to raise money. This year it donated $20 from each $75 gift card purchased since November, and that brought in a total of $7,500. The Mustard Seed says its partnership with the downtown mall is a great way to get everyone involved in the community.
I think engaging the community of business downtown to help the community that are in poverty, that frequent downtown, I think that is a perfect win-win situation because we can help, they can support us, and we can do the work, be the hands of the money and donations that they bring us.
We're vested in this community. We have been here almost 25 years now. We're in the heart and soul of downtown Victoria. We're here for a long time, and it's a good way to give back.
The Bay Centre also helped raise money for the Mustard Seed through its annual Spirit of Giving donation table, its gift wrap station, and displays of mannequins designed by the Pacific Design Academy. For a $2 donation, you can vote on your favorite design. The Mustard Seed says its busiest months are November and December, but the need is year-long. You can donate by going to mustardseed.ca. And we're into the final hour of the Food for Families fill-up. Our radio partners at KOOL FM, with your help, are filling a 5-ton truck with food that will help the food bank once the Christmas rush is over. This is the 7th annual, and I've been fortunate to be part of it every year on behalf of my family, cruising the aisles at Thrifty Foods and loading up a buggy.
You're going to get into the aisles, you're going to fill it up, and why do you want to come down and support again? Hudson, Mack.
You know, when you think of the heartache that people at home and around the world are going through right now, anything you can do to help others right now, that's what the season's all about. All right. All right, let's grab a couple of these. I love it. 4 of those, why don't we? These are my favorite thing. If I could eat only one snack, it would be dry roasted peanuts. French roast. There we go. Polsky Ogorki. If we don't hit 200, oh, can I try? My wife hates it. It's my oh, thank you.
No.
I say I wear my thongs all year long.
Oh God, don't say that.
I'm wearing thongs right now.
No, you can't say it. That's underwear.
And I mean, do you like smooth? Do you like crunchy?
I like smooth.
Yeah. Oh, cheesies though. Cheesies rank right up there with the peanuts. And if you add in the I forget what flavor they are, the chips, the kettle chips, you have the Temptation Trio. How are ya? How do I do it? I wanted to buy $200 worth, and I've almost done it exactly. That's great, guys. Thank you.
This is the last day of the fill-up, so we're still looking, though, to help fill that truck. There's a lot of space in a 5-ton truck, so whatever you can bring down, any non-perishable food donations. And the other thing that we really need this year is some cash.
And there was a special thank you for physicians and staff in the intensive care unit at Royal Jubilee Hospital today. The BC Transplant's Operation Popcorn team was there delivering decorative tins of popcorn to the staff in the ICU to thank them for making organ donation possible and to meet the people whose lives have been saved through organ donation. The volunteers say it's a small way to acknowledge the efforts of the hospital staff who work to support families dealing with the loss of a loved one. People like Kim Jordison, who lost her mother suddenly nearly 2 years ago.
She was on the organ donor registry to give her organs, and by doing so, she was able to save 7 lives. And I think it's something I wish everybody would do. It's a selfless act. You don't need to take them with you when you pass away, so you might as well donate them to good use and give the gift of life.
So far this year, there have been 300 life-saving transplants in British Columbia. To become an organ donor, visit transplant.bc.ca. A 25-year-old woman is in the hospital in an induced coma after suffering severe head injuries in a collision between her car and a truck on the NANAIMO Parkway late yesterday. The woman was eastbound on Highway 19 near 5th Street when police say she tried to cross over the parkway, and they believe she ran a red light. Her vehicle was hit by an oncoming large truck. She was not wearing a seatbelt at the time and was thrust into the passenger side of her car, which is where the truck hit. She was airlifted to the hospital in Victoria, where she remains. Northbound traffic was closed on the parkway for several hours.
I think what we wanted to get across to the motoring public is to watch the intersections. Christmas time is very busy. There's lots of vehicles on the road. Your mind might be on 100 different things, but we need you to make sure that you're watching the other traffic, watching the intersections, watch the lights, and always wear a seatbelt.
The driver of the truck suffered a broken wrist, was treated at the scene. RCMP say they are in the early stages of their investigation. They do not believe speed or alcohol are factors, but think the woman did run light. Well, the province is warning people who live along BC's coasts to be extra careful as debris from last year's earthquake and tsunami in Japan wash up on shore. Environment Minister Terry Lake says the government has released Phase 2 of its response to the tsunami debris. The minister says there is a risk that some may be hazardous and people should be careful not to touch it. The province is asking people to be respectful as well if they find any personal belongings and to contact police and the Environment Ministry if they do. The ministry says the good news is the volume of debris is expected to be significantly less than first thought. Well, there's nothing like home for the holidays when you have a new house to call home. And that's the case for a woman in Ladysmith who was just handed a new set of keys. The Mid-Island's Habitat for Humanity group was in an unusual situation earlier this year. It found itself with an empty home, but no family to live in it. The new homeowner was blown away that so few people had shown an interest in the property. For her, it was a no-brainer.
I've always wanted to own my own home. I wouldn't have this opportunity if it wasn't for Habitat. I would still be trying to save up for a down payment on a house. I would still be trying to look around to find an affordable house because of the economy that's just not able to happen with a single income.
The home on Strathcona Road became available when a single mother and her 2 kids moved out. The family lived there for several years, but she moved away after remarrying. Habitat for Humanity held information sessions, and no one showed up to the first one.
We weren't getting the number of applicants that we normally see in a small town like that, and thankfully the media really rallied around behind us, trying to get the word out there that this home was available, and then we got a lot of applicants in, and MEAGAN was the family that was selected, and they're thrilled.
Habitat homes do not require a down payment. Instead, families volunteer 500 hours of sweat equity in the construction of their home and in the community. Now, since this house was already built, MEAGAN and her family are finding other ways to help out around Ladysmith and to burn through those hours into the new year. MEAGAN's 2 daughters are helping out around the house. That includes painting their own rooms, and the family will officially move in once the hours are complete. NANAIMO families in need of food this holiday are getting a helping hand. Hamperville volunteers have spent the past 3 days handing out food. The food bank relies heavily on the community for donations, and earlier this month they were down. But a final push for cash and food has brought them back up just in time for Christmas.
In the end, we're going to be very, very close to where we were, and our hamper registrations are about 100 less than we had last year, which is a good sign. There's a good sign maybe people don't need the help, or perhaps they've moved on.
Hamperville volunteers say they're handing out about 2,100 hampers this year, which amounts to about 54,000 kilograms of food. Today there were about 50 volunteers giving their time to packaging the hampers and distributing the food to families in need.